Hello, my name is Juliana Solheid and I was the ESR 9 of the PAM² project. My topic was the laser-based secondary finishing processes of additively manufactured metal parts, and I was hosted by the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. The main goals of my research were to investigate different types of laser pulse processes for surface modification of laser powder bed fusion parts, and to assess their influence in the surface topography, material microstructure, and surface functionalization. To achieve these goals, two approaches were investigated. The use of continuous wave laser for laser polishing, which included the parameter selection, the microstructure evolution, and a finite element-based simulation. And the second approach was the usage of ultra-short pulsed lasers for surface functionalization, such as wettability, biocompatibility, and cell growth. To accomplish a significant reduction of surface roughness of the parts, the parameter selection of the laser polishing process was performed based on a design of experiments, in which the governing parameters such as laser power, focal position, number of repetition, axial feed rate, and scanning speed were varied as shown in the table. From the experimental results, a statistical model was developed. With the equation obtained, we evaluated the parameters by pairs as illustrated in these plots to understand if they interact with each other and to assess their behavior as a function of the surface roughness. Another outcome of the statistical model is the possibility of predicting the resulting roughness for different combinations of parameters by means of a slice plot, which is exemplified here. The laser polishing successfully removed the surface asperities of Ti64 parts independently of their initial conditions. These images illustrate the surface topographies of laser powder bed fusion parts following three steps of the process chain: the metal additive manufacturing alone, the heat treatment for stress relief, and the sandblasting performed after the heat treatment. This slide also shows that significant heat-affected zones were induced during the process. The investigation of the microstructure evolution showed that the laser polishing altered the microstructure of samples previously submitted to heat treatment, while no changes were observed in the samples as built submitted to laser polishing. The resulting microstructure after each process was linked with properties such as hardness and residual stresses. The microstructural change and their implication in the properties after the laser polishing occurred within the heat-affected zones. For that reason, a heat transfer model was adopted for the fast assessment and prediction of the heat-affected zone's depth. The simulation was performed in consolmut physics and was based on a Gaussian heat source irradiating a surface that exchanged heat with the ambient through convection and radiation. Another topic of interest during this work was the surface functionalization. For that, two different sets of parameters were applied to obtain distinct topographies. The first being a porous structure showed here in the image to the left, and the second nanoripples structures being the image to the right. The final surface topographies obtained were highly dependable on their initial conditions. The functionality of the parts were initially evaluated through a wettability analysis. We could observe that distinct topographies obtained from varied steps of the process chain can present similar wetting behavior. These behaviors also differed from what was expected for rough and smooth surfaces in some cases, which confirmed that the surface topography alone cannot dictate the wetting behavior of the parts. For that reason, an analysis of the surface chemical composition was also performed. From this, we could see that certain processes induce mainly the formation of oxides on the surface of the samples, while other processes can induce different reactions between the chemical components. From this analysis, a better relation of surface topography, wettability, and chemical composition was established. Finally, the cell growth analysis indicated that independently from the process to which the Ti64 samples were submitted, no increase in the surface toxicity was observed, and the cells were capable of attaching to the part's surface, although in an arbitrary manner. This presentation was mostly based on journal papers and conference presentations produced and performed throughout the PAM² project. A list of all publications is shown in this slide. Full text of the listed publications can be found on my ResearchGate page or at KIT Open repository. That's all for now. Thank you for watching.